Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday, the 4th of March. Starting off with the FTSE 100, where it's not really worth even looking at this market. It's been dead in a range of around 50 points for the last week or two, just above neutral 50, so that gives us some hope that it'll go up, and just above the 50-day moving average at 76.30, while we're above that 50-day line looking for 78.30. The top of that rising August trend channel from last year, but the way things are going, it might take till this August for it to actually get there. On the downside, if we break 76.30, then the 200-day line 75.40 could be the target. Moving along to the DAX, which is actually a proper market in terms of movement, etc. Here we're hanging near that red September resistance line projection, 17,700. Above that, or at least above 17,800, we're looking for as high as 18,400 by the end of this month. On the downside, hoping that losses will be limited to late February resistance around 17,400. The Dow is next, and here you can see that we're still bouncing off the floor of that rising trend channel from October, which is miraculous in its own right. The top of the channel there from October heading towards 41,000, which is presumably next month's target. If we do break down below the floor of the channel there, 38,600, then the risk is of a test of 38,000 and the 50-day moving average, but at the moment looking very solid indeed. The market at the moment remains Bitcoin, and here you can see that we've broken one of our targets. We've broken many targets actually of late, but through 64,000 it looks as though we could head up to 70,500 by the end of this month, allowing maybe more time than is required. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 60,000 for a 70,000 plus target. Moving on to the stocks, and a stock which is obviously affected by the Bitcoin situation is Bitcoin miner Argo blockchain. And here the key is, even though it's rather disappointing that we're not actually above 30 rather than below 20, you can see there's an uptrend line there from December. That's currently at 15.25, and above that we're looking for the shares to fill that gap up to 27 pence sometime by the end of this month. Obviously there is resistance there in the 22-23 pence area, but we're assuming that if Bitcoin gets to 70,000, even Argo blockchain will benefit. Moving along to Bluebird, which I haven't covered for years, and you can see by the chart probably why, but we've had a nice sideways shuffle with the shares above, or rather below, a rising 50-day moving average, a very strong hammer candle there as well in mid-February, and the longer we stay above the floor of the gap is 0.62, the greater the chance of a move up to the top of that broadening triangle from September as high as 0.9 pence by the end of next month. I covered the next stock over the weekend, and it seems to have enjoyed that coverage. Clean Power Hydrogen. Here we're stretching for the top of that broadening triangle. In fact, it was basically an October broadening triangle up to 18.5 pence. Hopefully we'll hit that over the next few sessions. And then, in fact, we could even stretch that target to a second level up to as high as 26 pence by the end of this month, all being well, and especially while the shares remain above the resistance on the way down at 14 pence. Genedrive was a requested stock quite recently, and it seems to be reviving itself quite well. 4 positive candles there, broke neckline resistance at 5.25 above that. Looking for 8 pence by the end of next month at the top of that broadening triangle from back in January. Hummingbird is next, and here shares reviving a bit after the interview that I did with the company last week, and also obviously gold soaring of late. Here we've got the shares breaking through the 50-day line around 9.25, and we're looking for at least the 200-day moving average over the next couple of weeks at 11 pence. Best case is that we get to as high as 14 pence by the end of next month. On to Kodal, one of the punters' favourites, and here we are just gingerly breaking that line of resistance there from the beginning of December. We're already up above the 50-day line at 0.34, and the longer we stay above that particular combo area, the greater the chance of a move up to maybe 0.5 pence by the end of this month. Obviously, best case there would be the top of that falling trend channel from April, as high as 0.57. Moving along to another stock which I don't really cover very much, which is Molecular Energies, and I'm covering it really because there aren't that many bullish situations this early on a Monday, but we do have bullish divergence, and we have the potential of the shares closing above the 23.5 pence gap top there. If they can do that, we'd expect to move towards the 30 pence area over the course of the rest of March. But the key here, I suppose, is being on the right side of 20 pence. Mast is next, another stock which I don't look at very much, as you can tell by the chart. It's not one of the bulletin board heroes very often, but here we've got good consolidation here at the 50-day moving average level, 0.47. The longer we stay above that, the greater the chance of the shares at least heading back to recent resistance from December, as high as 0.8 pence plus. Obviously, there is some resistance in the low 60s as well, but this looks like this may be a lasting turnaround, especially with the RSI pushing through RSI 50. Big RNS today with not too much detail, I suppose, but here we have Mirriad advertising gapping up. It's a bear trap gap reversal from below the October support there, 1.44. The longer we stay above that, the greater the chance of a move at least up to the 200-day moving average area around 2 pence sometime later this month. But obviously, it is early days, and we'd like to see the shares stay above that 1.44 pence level. On to Pensionbee, which I don't think I've ever looked at before, and here we've got a break of that resistance line there from back in the beginning of January, and the 50-day moving average at 93 pence. If we can stay above that, then we should get to 100 pence plus later this month. Best case here, maybe by the end of next month, is up to £1.15, but we need to stay on the right side of 93 pence. Interesting update from Phoenix Copper, where we're still waiting for the big bond news, but in the meantime, shares seem to be shuffling quite nicely near the bottom of the range, and in fact have gapped up today, which is quite impressive. While that gap remains at 11.8 pence, we're looking for the shares to head up to 16 pence later this month. And the other point to note is that we've got a bear trap island reversal, so gapping down to new lows and then gapping up, so that can be a very strong signal. Moving on to Renalytix, where I gingerly suggested last week that the shares could bounce off our previous target area around 27, 28 pence. In fact, they've done me proud, really. We've managed to almost retest the peak of last month at 73 pence. What we'd like to see now is the shares remain above the 200-day line at 61 pence and then head up to the main resistance area, the old October peak through 80 pence over the next week or so. Moving along to the last three. First one is Shoezone, which got to mention in the papers, I believe, and has gapped up in sympathy. Here we've got a rising trend channel from back in the autumn of 2022. We're looking for £2.80 initially, while we remain above recent resistance at £2.50. On to Touchstone, and here this is looking quite encouraging in the sense that we've had this sideways shuffle above a now rising 50-day moving average. That means that we should see 65 pence at the top of that November broadening triangle, hopefully during the course of March, and we'd like to see the shares also remain on the right side of 50 pence, but that U-shaped bull flag, as I call them, looking healthy, as is the bounce above neutral 50 RSI. Finishing off with Thor, which has been in the wars over recent months, but has had, 4 very solid days, or is it 5? We can't really tell. There's 4 days, actually. And here we're breaking through the 50-day moving average. Above that on an end-of-day close at around 12.8 pence. We're looking for 17 pence by the end of this month. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.